What if this personal development, self-help world is not helping you, right? Because we live in a time, right? Personal development is everywhere. Books, podcasts, seminars, masterclass, social media. Everywhere we turn, there's a new hack, a new system, a new way to hustle harder, level up. Okay, but here's the question I don't hear many people asking. What if personal development or self-help isn't actually helping you? I mean, think about it. We have all this knowledge. We have all these techniques, all these hacks, all these routines at our fingertips. So why do so many people still feel stuck? Okay? Because I know for myself, I spent years like I was on a hamster wheel, trying every new thing, right? Trying to make it work. And if you're watching this, you might have asked yourself the same questions. Why am I not further along than I should be? Why do I still struggle with the same patterns? Am I doing something wrong? Why is this not working for me? Because believe you me, I get it. Right. And for those who don't know, my name's LJ, and I've been on this personal development journey for 46 years now. Okay. And my past 6 or 7 years, the self development has totally consumed my life. Right. So I've learned a thing or two when it comes to this. Okay. And one of the things I've learned is sometimes the harder you try to improve, the worse you feel. Okay. And let's start with this, right? The personal development world, it can feel like a performance, right? You know what I'm talking about, right? The perfectly edited, curated Instagram reels, right? The Facebook stories, the TikTok, whatever it is, the speakers who have these flawless success stories, right? The coaches who have the Lambos and the big houses and the laptop lifestyle, they look like they've got it all figured out. Okay. And when you're looking at that, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking, this is what success looks like. Right. And I don't have it. And but here's the psychology behind it. Right. Social comparison theory, it tells us that we naturally compare ourselves to other people. And when we start comparing ourselves to unrealistic versions of success, we start to feel inadequate. Okay. So what we don't see are the struggles, the failures, the behind the scene moments of doubt, fear, insecurities that these people who have gained success have went through. Okay, and when we focus on someone else's highlight reel, right, we start believing that maybe we're not cut out for this, right? Maybe I'm never going to get there. But that's the trap, because the success you're chasing is only half of the story, right? In the self help world, you hear these unspoken rules, right? You should always be improving. You should always be working harder, right? More productive, more discipline, more positivity, more, 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 more. Okay, and I get it, right? Growth is super important, right? But this constant pressure will actually work against you. And here's why, right? Like psychologists or researchers, they talk about something called cognitive dissonance. And what that means is the discomfort we feel when our actions don't align with our beliefs. Okay, so if you believe you should be more successful, more productive, more healed, but you're struggling, then your brain freaks out, right? You feel like you're failing. And even when you're actually doing, everything you can and you're doing a great job, right? But you still feel like it's not enough. And what happens is that will lead to burnout. Okay, and this is why so many people get stuck in this oscillating cycle of self-improvement, self-help, healing, constantly consuming new information, new hacks, but they never feel good enough, right? Or they try all these things and nothing seems to work for them. Okay, but what if the answer isn't pushing harder? What if it isn't more, more, more? What if the real breakthrough comes when you stop trying to fix yourself and you start accepting who you are? Right? Because you are perfect just as you are. You do not need to fix yourself. Because if you constantly try and fix yourself, then there's another thing that nobody talks about. It's called guilt. Right? Yeah, guilt and personal development. Right? We're told we need to push harder, more, break our limits. Okay? More, more, more of this, more of that. But when we struggle to keep it up, then guilt creeps in. And we start thinking, oh my goodness, I've not done enough. And you start worrying about this and worrying about that. And if the guilt sticks around long enough, it turns to shame. Right? And yes, there's a difference between guilt and shame, right? Guilt is I did something wrong. Shame is there's something wrong with me. And shame is what keeps people stuck in a never ending cycle, right? So you start thinking that you're broken and you're not, right? That you're falling apart, that you're failing in personal development, that you just don't have what it takes. But you do have what it takes. Okay. And let me tell you something, right? Growth is not linear. It's not a one size fits all. And it's not supposed to feel like a punishment. Okay. If you feel guilty because you haven't reached some imaginary milestone, if you feel ashamed because you're not leveling up fast enough, it's time to pause, take a big deep breath, and ask yourself, who am I really doing this for? Because personal development is not about proving anything to anyone. Okay, it's about alignment, right? Alignment. So if your personal development isn't helping you, it's time to ask different questions, right? What am I really seeking here? Because this is when intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation comes in, right? Extrinsic motivation, that's just driven by external rewards, flashy watches, money, status, recognition, right? Intrinsic motivation comes from within. It's about doing something because it feels meaningful, it fulfills you. Now, I've done all of the above. I've chased everything. For most of my life, I had to have the watches, the cars, this, that. And no matter what I got, it never felt fulfilling. Even this past year, when I've took a year off to, not a year off, but I was basically felt like I was forced into it, where I had to go deep and reflect on who I was trying to be. And if you go on my social media profiles and the stuff I've done up until last year, I was portraying myself to be this individual. And even though I believed a lot of the stuff, but I was still portraying myself to be somebody different. Okay, I wasn't being authentically me. And this year of sitting back, taking time, reflecting, and understanding what made me feel full, and that gave me the belief, not the belief, but it gave me the inspiration to go in YouTube full time. Okay, because a lot of people in the self-help world, they're running on extrinsic motivation. They're chasing someone else's definition of success, someone else's roadmap. And that's what I was doing. I was hiring mentors, this person, that person, because they had what I thought I wanted. But I didn't really actually want that. I wanted that to make myself feel better because I didn't feel worthy enough inside. And that, if I got that, that would have meant that I felt worthy. But when I got a lot of these things, I didn't feel any worthier. I still felt the same. Because real transformation happens when you stop measuring your progress by external standards and you start tuning into what actually matters to you. So ask yourself, okay, sit with yourself and ask yourself, am I chasing self improvement because I actually want it? Or is it because I think I should do it? Because there's a difference. And here's the real truth about it. You don't need another productivity hack. You don't need another motivational speech. You do not need to be fixed. Okay? You are 100% perfect as you are. You just need to reconnect with yourself on a deeper level and go within. Okay? Let go of the fixation on fixing. Because see, when you're constantly focused on fixing, what is it you're focused on? You're focused on the negative, what you don't feel complete. So whatever it is, the fixing, that's the negative. So that's where your focus goes. That's where the energy goes. Okay? Personal development is not about fixing yourself. It's about alignment, right? And there's so much research to show this, that self-acceptance is directly linked to a feeling of greater well-being, lower stress, overall happiness. Okay, but the self-help industry will rarely talk about this because it doesn't sell, right? It doesn't make the money as quick or as much. Okay, the truth is you're not broken. You do not need to fix yourself. You do not have to earn your worth through endless self-improvement. What you do need to do is stop following someone else's roadmap and start creating your own. Start carving your own path. Instead of asking, how can I be better? Start asking, what actually feels right for me? Okay, because this was a massive shift for me. A massive shift. And it's not that I've been living this shift for a long time. It's took me nearly 7 years, 6 years of rigorous, experimentation, trying to figure out what works, trying to for me to come to the realization. And when I started implementing that, it was like my life changed overnight. And I'm not talking about the external success and the money and that. I'm talking about in here how I felt, how I felt about myself, how I woke up, how I treated the people around me. Because now, and you're talking from 3 weeks ago until now, I feel like a new human being because I'm doing what feels right for me. And there was even when my dad came to visit and he was asking what I'm doing, and there was a part of me hesitated to speak to him about it because there was that part of me that didn't think he was going to approve of it. But see, when I started talking and I started explaining, he started to understand. I started lighting up because I could see he was recognizing me for me. And when you shift from self-improvement to self-alignment, and everything changes. You stop feeling guilty for not doing enough. You stop chasing imaginary finish lines. You stop trying to force yourself into someone else's version of success. And when you're in that space, growth happens naturally. But not just the growth, but you feel it. You feel aligned. You feel like this is who you are and this is what you're supposed to do. So if you feel like personal development isn't helping you right now, that's totally 100% cool. It doesn't mean you're broken. It does not mean you're failing. It just means that it might be time to take a step back and realign with who you are. Because true transformation happens when you stop chasing someone else's definition for success and you start living by your own. Okay, so let me, hear from you in the comments. Has personal development helped you or has it helped make you feel stuck? Drop a comment below. Let's talk about it. Right? And if this video resonates with you, hit the subscribe button or the like button and follow me on this journey. Because as I keep saying, this is just getting started. I'm just starting to come out my shell and I want to travel this path with all of you. Okay, so I'm sending you much love, take care, and I'll have another video. I think it's this side or it's this side, but stay authentic, stay true to yourself, and love your life. Take care. Love you guys. Bye.